built this. I did this again. And it turned out really well. Back's kind of flat. That doesn't matter. I needed this to, you know, be immortalized in video. I Instagrammed it, but that wasn't enough. Hi guys, so this is part 2 of Best Reads of 2015. The next book that I read was The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, and it's a girl that loves reading during World War II, and it's just a really touching, fantastic book. Again, from like the first page I was like, yup, this is gonna be for me, I'm gonna be totally into it, and it did not disappoint. So next book that I read was The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in the Ship of Her Own Making by Catherynne. Valente. I had heard a lot about this series from Amanda from No Girls for the Wind, and I was like, okay, again, it's about a girl who likes reading and goes on adventures and it's fantasy. Sounds awesome. It is geared for children, but that doesn't matter. So far I've read only the first 2 books in the series. The second book is called The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland. It's such a fun book. You could really tell that Catherynne just kind of had a fun time with writing it. Like, she's just like, I'm gonna play with words and language, and she went for it. It kind of had like a Dr. Seuss almost vibe. Because of that, it kind of brings in a lot of classic fairy tales and their characters and works into the story, and it was just fun. I will definitely be reading the others. I'm not sure how many there are in the series, but I will be reading them in the future. The next book that I read was The Untamed State by Roxane, and this was an excellent book. It's a very hard read because of the subject matter. It deals with kidnapping and rape, and it's very hard. Not an enjoyable book to read, but an important, and the story is heartbreaking. And I just had a really difficult time kind of getting through it at parts, but it is worth the read if you can and if you're okay with the subject matter, and if you're not, that's okay. The next book that I read was The Phantom of the Opera, and this book was not good. I love The Phantom of the Opera as a musical. It was the first musical that kind of got me into musicals, because before then, younger me was like, why are people singing what they have to say? Why? They could just say it. Why do they have to sing it? And current me now is like, of course you're gonna sing it. It's so much more fun. So I read The Phantom of the Opera. I wasn't really expecting much. I knew that it was quite different from the musical, but I wanted to read it because that's what inspired The Phantom of the Opera. And it wasn't good, but it was such an enjoyable read. Not quite at the beginning. There's a lot of funny lines, and maybe one day I'll make a video just kind of reading off the lines and probably just laughing. But it was really funny. It was really funny. Not on purpose, but it was hilarious. Next book I read was Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. I love Jenny Lawson. I read Let's Pretend This Never Happened like a couple years ago, and I was laughing out loud, and I bought Furiously Happy. I didn't even need to think about it, I just bought it. And it's such a joy, and Furiously Happy, she talks about her depression and mental health and anxiety and everything. And it is such a thoughtful book, but it's also very funny, and she manages to balance humor with important discussions about mental health. It's just such a special book, and I will treasure it forever, and it'll definitely be one that I reread many times. If you haven't read it, I really highly recommend it. The next book I read was Carry On by Rowell. So in Fangirl, Kath writes this fan fiction about the series, and it's like this magical series that kind of is like, it's not Harry Potter. No, it's not Harry Potter, but it's kind of. And then Rowell kept thinking about that story that she kind of made up. And so this is her own take of that story, and her own take of like the magical hero and his journey. And it's fantastic, and it's fun, and it has romance because there's a Rowell book and you're kind of shouting, just kiss already. And it's just excellent. The next I read was The Little Prince. It was such a great book, and it's a perfect example of like, you do not have to be a kid to be reading this, because especially that book, I feel like there's a lot you're gonna get out of it when you're a kid, but there's also a lot that you're just not gonna get. And the last book that I read was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. So I started watching Outlander, and the one weekend I started, I watched 4 episodes on Saturday and another 4 episodes on the Sunday. Each episode is a full like 60 minutes, but I just binged that and I didn't expect to like it. I had a night where I was like, this night I'm not gonna do anything. See, I think I was just getting over a cold, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch it, and I did, and I loved it so much. So I was like, oh, I'll pick up the book because I'm obviously going to love it. And I did quite enjoy it, but they changed Jamie, and Jamie is different. And Jamie's way better in the series compared to Jamie in the book. So I don't know if I'm going to read the rest of the series. I bought the first Outlander book, and if I do read it, I'll probably just borrow it from the library. So those are what I read. I also wanted to talk about the books that I reread last year. I only reread 4 books. I'm not usually a big rereader, but there are certain books that I do love to reread. First book that I read was Fangirl by Rowell. And that was my first reread. It's definitely probably going to make it into the cycle of like almost a yearly reread maybe. I loved it so much. I see myself in Cap a lot. I also read Harry Potter and the Philosophers Stone because why not? It's like a little hug. And I obviously reread Anne and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I've read it every year since it's come out. I usually reread it somewhere at time in the summer, and I save it for like a time where I'm not feeling that great. But all these rereads are like pick-me-up books. Like I'm not feeling the greatest. I need to escape for a little while. And each year that I read Anne and the French Kiss, I get something new from it, because you get that from all books. But this year, because I had read like Water for Chocolate, I was like, hey, I totally forgot that they read that in Anne and the French Kiss, so that was kind of nice. Also, Anne is another character that I relate to a lot. And the last book that I reread that I saved for my birthday was Attachments by Rowell. I don't know what my favorite Rowell book is, but it might be Attachments, it might be Fangirl, I'm not sure. But I loved Attachments. I was like saving this to reread, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it for my birthday, and it'll be like a little treat to myself. It's Rowell's debut novel, and it's excellent. And again, I relate a lot to it. And it's so wonderful, guys. It's so wonderful. So those are all my favorite reads that I read in 2015. And I would like to know what you read in 2015 that you really liked. And if you are doing like a 50 book challenge or a 60 book challenge or 100 book, whatever challenge, did you make it? I made it. I've made it every year since I've done it. So goodbye.